So on Friday and the day before, we talked about congruent shapes, triangles, and trapezoids, and different stuff. And we knew they were congruent because they told us with all of the little tick marks. But you might not always have those tick marks, so you might have to assume things are congruent. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we have triangles are congruent if and only if the corresponding parts are congruent. So the matching, y'all, calm down. Okay, so remember, corresponding parts means the matching parts. So which angles match, which sides match. Okay, so let's list them out. So angle A is congruent to which angle? Good. If you need to go get some water or something, please do it. How about angle B? Good. And then angle C. Good. Any questions on matching the angles? Alright, let's do the same with the sides then. So let's say we had side AB. Which side does AB match? DE. How about BC? Good. EF. And then AC. You got it. DF. Boys. Questions? Okay. So, like I said, we might not have all of the tick marks. We might not know every single angle and every single side. So what we're talking about today are theorems and postulates, which are kind of like rules, that let us assume congruence if we don't know all of the sides and all of the angles. Okay. So the first one is the side-side-side postulate. So it says if the sides of one triangle are congruent to the sides of another, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay. So in this one, we'll know all of our sides are congruent, but we don't know any of our angles. But if we know the sides are congruent, we can assume that the angles are congruent. Okay. So if we look at this first one, I have the tick mark. So I know JK and NK. I know JA and NA, and then AK and AK, of course, equals itself. So if we wanted to write our statement, we would say triangle JKA is congruent to triangle. So remember, when you're writing the statement, the first ones you just put in whatever order. But then for your second one, you have to match them. So J matches N, K matches itself, and A matches itself. Good. So N, K, A. Okay. And so we know that by side, side, side. Okay. So what you're doing today is you're figuring out, are they congruent, yes or no? If they are, you write a statement and you say by, and then whatever theorem or postulate that you know. So if we look at the next one, it tells me BA and DC. It tells me AD and CB. Do I know that AC equals itself? Yeah, how do I know that? Because it's the same line, so we can assume that it's going to be congruent to itself. So now we can name it. So we can say triangle ABC is congruent to Now in this one we want to match our angles. But it's a little bit different because if I go A, B, C, if I start at A and go to B, that's my one tick mark. So then I have to start at C and go to D. So when they look like this, your angles like this, your alternate interior, are the same. So in this one, this angle A matches this angle C. So C, D, A. So you don't always assume that one angle equals itself, especially when they share a line like that. And again, we can say by side, side, side. Okay. So then our next one is side angle side. So this one says if two sides and their angle between in one triangle are congruent to two sides and their angle between in another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay, so in the last one, we knew side, side, side. We knew all three sides. In this one, we know a side, an angle, and a side, an angle, and a side. So in this one, the congruent angles have to be between the two congruent sides. Okay, so side, angle, side, side, angle, side. Okay. So let's write our statement. So we've got triangle BOW is congruent to triangle So if I go BOW, on this side I need to go MAN. And again we can say by side, angle, side. Questions? Okay. Well, if we look at this next one, I've got side AC and EC and BC and DC, but I don't have any angles. Is there anything I can assume in this one? Can I assume these two angles are the same in the middle? What kind of angles are those? Vertical. Good. So vertical angles are always congruent. Good, good, good. So now I have a side, an angle, and a side, an angle, and a side. So we can assume these triangles are congruent. So ABC is congruent to DEC. Good. Wait. A, B, C. So in this one, A is between the 1 tick mark and the no tick mark. So then E is between the 1 and the no. So we want to say EDC. And again, by side, angle, side. Good. So if you're unsure about the angles, match up the lines. So A, B, C went no to 2, so you want no tick mark to 2, so EDC. Questions? Alright, so our next one is angle, side, angle. So it says if two angles and the side between in one triangle are congruent to two angles and the side between in another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. Okay. So in the last one we had the two sides and the angle between. This one we have the two angles and the side between. So let's look at these up here. So if we look up here, it tells me that A and X are congruent. It tells me B and Y are congruent. And then the side AB and the side XY. So I have an angle and then the side and then an angle. An angle, a side, and an angle. Okay. So then if we write it, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. Good. So A matches X, B matches Y, C matches Z. And again we can say by angle, side, angle. So if we look at our next one, all I know is that A is congruent to E and AC is congruent to EC. So that's only two things. I have to know at least three things. Is there anything that I can assume? Good. So these in here at C are vertical, so they are also the same. So now I have angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. So we could say ACB is congruent to so if I went A, C, B, E, C, D, because C and C match each other. So E, C, D. Again, by angle, side, angle. Good. Okay, so our next one is angle, angle, side. You can also say side, angle, angle. So either way is the same. So angle, angle, side, or side, angle, angle. Don't matter. So it says if two angles in a, I want to change this. So in a side not between. So take out that word side. So two angles in a side that's not between them. Okay. of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding angles and the side not between of another triangle, then they are congruent. So we have two angles and then a side that's not between them. So if we look at this one, we have angles W and N, O and A, and then we have side OB and AM. So then it's angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Or side, angle, angle. It don't matter. Either way, it's the same. So then I'm going to say triangle OWB is congruent to triangle good. A, N, M. Good. So O matches A, W matches N, B matches M. And again, that's by angle, angle, side. Questions? Alrighty, so on this one, we've got N and L are equal. We've got side JK and MK. But what do I know about these middle ones? Yeah, they're vertical. Good. So they are also congruent. Good. So now I've got angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. So I could say JKN is congruent to triangle close. So J matches M, but K matches K. Good. And then N matches L. So M, K, L. Good. By angle, angle, side. Good. So then our last one is specific to right triangles. It doesn't mean that every single right triangle is going to be hypotenuse leg, but if it's a right triangle, it can be hypotenuse leg. Okay? But it's only hypotenuse in the leg if you know the hypotenuse and leg. So if the hypotenuse and leg of one right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and a leg of another right triangle, then they are congruent. And so again, just because it's a right triangle doesn't mean it's going to be hypotenuse leg, but it has to be a right triangle in order to be hypotenuse leg. So if we look at this first one, we have two right angles. I have my hypotenuse, which remember is always across from the right angle. So this hypotenuse AB has two tick marks. This hypotenuse ED has two tick marks, so then they're the same. And then we also have a leg AC is the same as this leg DF. So then we can assume it's hypotenuse leg. So triangle BCA is congruent to so B matches E. C is the right angle, so it matches F, and then A matches D. Good. By hypotenuse leg. Mm-hmm. Yep. So in this one, I know it's hard to see, but there is a little tick mark right here, and there's one right here. And then in this one, AD is the hypotenuse for both of these. So since it's the same line, of course, it's going to be equal to itself. So now we have the hypotenuses, hypotena, and a leg. So we can say ACD is congruent to good, DBA. Very good. Good. So again, AC is the one tick mark, so then I need to go DB for the one tick mark. So ACD, DBA by hypotenuse leg. Okay, so what you're going to be doing today is just telling me, are they congruent, yes or no, and how you know. So if we look at number 1, it gives me this angle, and this angle, this angle, and this angle, and then they share this side. So I know that that side is going to be the same. So then I've got an angle, a side, and an angle. An angle, a side, and an angle. Is that one of our postulates, angle, side, angle? Yes. So then we would say yes by angle, side, angle. Okay. So in number 2, it gives me this angle and this angle. It also gives me the sides, and then they share this side in the middle. So then this is angle, side, side. Angle, side, side. Is that one of our postulates, angle, side, side? No. So angle, side, side is a bad word. So you should never write bad words on your paper. Is one way to remember it. Okay? So then those are not congruent. But then 3, it gives me these two sides and these two sides. And then in the middle, we have some vertical angles going on. So now I have side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. Is that one of them? Yes. So yes by side, angle, side. Good. So there are 2 that do not work. So angle, angle, angle. And side, side angle, okay, no bad words, do not, I don't want to say do not work, so they do not allow you to assume congruence. Okay. So, in all of them, except for hypotenuse leg, you're looking for 3 corresponding congruent parts. Okay? And then, when you have those 3, if you just have 2, it's an automatic no. But when you have those 3, you have to decide, is it one of our 5 theorems? Or is it angle, 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 side, side angle? If it's one of those, it's an automatic no. Okay? So, you have to have 3 things. 3 congruent corresponding things, and then you decide which theorem it is. Okay? Questions? Let's try some.